I really feel that if you get into a public institution, because they're charging less, I would say go there. You know, like you can receive the best education and have the best lecturers, but if you're not going to be putting in the work, you are not going to be getting the results that you need and making most of the experience that you get into your masters. Hello everybody, welcome to Speak with Votomi. Thank you so much for joining me. If it's your first time here, you're absolutely welcome and Happy New Year. Okay, I'm even embarrassed to say it because it's like so many days in, but this is the first sit down that I'm doing. So yeah, Happy New Year. But anyway, this video is for you if you're wondering what it's like to be studying at SACAP, SACAP being the South African College of Applied Psychology. So if you're wondering what that's like, this video is for you. Share it with somebody in your world. I know the application process is ongoing, and if I'm not mistaken, school starts pretty soon. So if you're still wondering if you should bet your money on them, this video is going to help you. So without wasting any more time, let us get into today's video. So I am going to be sharing all of this based on my personal experience. It's not to say that you will have the same experience, and also remember, I only went to the SACAP in Durban. The other campuses could be different, but that's where I'm going to be needing your help and your assistance. So if you have an experience that is different to mine or can tell me about a different campus, please do comment down below in the comment section so that people can make up their minds. I believe in making informed decisions, getting all the information that I need, and then making an informed decision, a decision that I can stand by and stick by ultimately at the end of the day. So I encourage you to do the very same thing. Please don't go off 110% off this video. No, you need to make a decision that you can stand by, because I ain't taking any responsibility for that, unfortunately. Okay, but nonetheless, should you or should you not go study at SACAP? I don't know if that is something that I can answer on your behalf, but what I will be sharing is my experience, and also I guess my own personal review on SACAP. So as I mentioned, SACAP standing for the South African College of Applied Psychology. So you can do courses like your honors in psychology, you can do your undergrad in psychology. They have a master's by dissertation that is a master's in community psychology, but this is not a psychology master's that allows you to practice as a psychologist. So please be careful about that. I had one or two questions about that. They're like, yeah, I can do masters via SACAP and become a psychologist. Yes, you can do the masters in community psychology, but it doesn't make you a psychologist after it. So just be aware of that. So one of the first things that I'm going to be chatting about and then I guess rating or just sharing my experience on is, number one, the admin process. Okay, so admin process from application, where I'm filling in the application forms and all of that happened pretty quickly. There was someone on the other side to respond to my request almost instantly, and I think I finished application including registration within 2 days. They were pretty prompt, pretty quick. Sent back documents, communication was very simple. So that part of it, 10 out of 10, cannot fault it. Okay, however, I do feel that the admin, in terms of now I am at the institution, I'm needing assistance with certain things, or maybe writing emails to certain individuals, I do feel sometimes in instances the response time could have been better, could have been faster. And something that I absolutely did not like in that process is the fact that, for example, at any other institution, after a certain term or semester, you get your results. They give you a transcript of your results. SACAP Durban campus did not do that. You had to request for a transcript of your results. So yes, I've seen my results, but now to be taking my parents through the portal and navigating through that and being like, these are my results, I feel like is, number one, tedious and also unprofessional, and you know, they would rather just see, okay, these are all the subjects you took, these are the marks that you got. And I also feel like for my own sanity as well, that would have really helped. But you didn't do that. You had to request for it, and even when you request, you would get an unofficial one, and if you wanted an official one, you had to pay for it. And I was just like, then what is the admin's job during the year when registrations are done? But anyway, that was one of the things that I didn't like. Towards the end of the year, I thought, okay, they'll give you the year transcript. You're now done at SACAP. You know, what are your marks for the whole year? No, that didn't happen either. You had to ask for it. And even when you ask for it, it doesn't say that you've completed your degree. And when I asked why, they were like, once you graduate, that will change. And I'm like, why? I'm done with the degree. Whether I come to graduation or not, my fees are in, I've finished it, you know. So I didn't like that part of it. I really felt that they could have done better in that regard. So yeah, that admin stuff was not fun at all. But I will admit, we did complain about you know, just the slow pace of administration you know, within the year. And later on, there was a lady, a course coordinator, who was brought in, and we got her WhatsApp number. So when you needed certain things or had certain questions or wanted something to be done student related, then the communication was much faster, and I guess in that it helped. So yeah, that I would not give a 10 out of 10. That was one of the things that I really didn't like. And I just felt like, you know what, for the amount of money that you're paying, because you are paying a lot more than you would at a, you know, public institution, I just felt like these are small things that should not have been issues. But yeah, that was that. However, moving on to another thing that I think was 9 out of 10. Okay, and I'll tell you why I say 9 instead of 10. The lectures and the lecturers at SACAP, top tier. And so I was able to interact with counseling psychologists and educational psychologists, with social workers, with the research psychologist as well. And I really felt that beyond just giving you the information or reading from the textbook, they really you know, work through and thought it through as to how they can take their professions and, you know, present them in the most practical and, you know, I don't know, just most physical way possible. And I absolutely loved that. There were activities in class, there were a lot of debates, there were conversations. Sometimes I would go into class and it really felt like a therapy session, especially when we started to do therapeutic methods, because we would do certain activities. For example, if you were learning about mindfulness, we'd do mindfulness activities and then we'd chat about it. Be like, do you feel that this worked for you? Did it relieve stress and stuff like that? So yeah, I honestly enjoyed the lectures. Especially the ones that were taught by the social workers, I really felt that they brought the field of social work, even though there are some differences, but at the end of the day, you're working with people. I think they brought that to life, and that literally was so amazing to see, you know, different perspective, or, you know, to see things, or to see and witness psychology outside of the classroom. I absolutely love that, and I knew there and then that, you know what, I'm studying the right thing, I am in the right space, because I thoroughly enjoyed the classes. And yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And as I told you, the reason I say 9 out of 10, there was one lecture that they had to change and bring in another one last minute, and then my classes ended up being online, which was not a problem for me at all. It's just, it was one of those things that we didn't have the same lecture from the get-go. But the lecturer that they did bring in that ended up teaching me psychometry online, top tier. Once again, literally brought psychometry, the profession. I felt like I was practicing as a psychometrist, because he would make us do assessments and stuff like that, and we'd go through it. We'd, you know, put our brains together and be like, okay, how would you interpret this? How would you do that? And loved it, absolutely loved it. And I really felt like I got a glimpse of what the profession is like, and if it's something that I would want to do in future, which I do believe that, you know, it's not one of those things that they're able to do in a normal or a public university space, because you're not at classes that long. So the lectures at SACAP were like 2 hours long, and it was, yeah, I feel like it was sufficient time for you to really get a glimpse of what it would be like to be in that profession. And the next thing, moving on to the physical campus and the vibe. The physical campus is absolutely beautiful. The vibe around there, I think the people were absolutely stunning. I think we, even in the classroom, we created a community, and I really felt like, if I didn't understand something, I could go to, one of the fellow students and ask them. And even in that space, when we had discussions in class, it was a safe space, and it really felt like for that time and for that moment, we were like, family. So I really enjoyed that. In terms of the campus itself, they do try to organize certain activities so that you can have fun together, and yeah, that was absolutely lovely as well. I only attended one of them, but they do try to have these events so that you can just get to know each other and do something outside of just studying the whole time. And another social event, well, it wasn't a social event, it was your thesis presentation day, and I think the way that it was done was really lovely, and it was a beautiful way to spend the last day at campus. So if you have not checked out my last day at campus video, you can definitely go check that one out after this one. And moving on to the supervision process. Now this is another thing that I don't know if I would give a 10 out of 10. In fact, I'm 100% sure I would not give it a 10 out of 10. As I mentioned before, lecturers at SACAP, I just don't know if that was the same pool that they got our supervisors from, because wow. But also beyond that, I think it was my lowest mark, by the way, so I think that's another reason why I could be negative towards it. I really hope that I'm not speaking out of bitterness, because I feel like I'm not, but I experienced some issues with my supervisor. I think most people did, which is fine, it's normal, and it's okay. But I really felt like, when it came to trying to resolve those issues, once again, admin was slow in getting back to me. The admin process of getting your topic approved, it took months and months, and then you're now scrambling at the end of the year, working under pressure to get your thesis done on time. Meanwhile, you didn't receive your approval on time, and things like that on time took longer than expected. Like, you only got it towards the end of the term, and I'm like, are you expecting me to work during my holidays? Even if I did towards the end of the year, now I'm scrambling and I need to try get things done like very quickly. Towards the end, they eventually did give us an extension, which I am super grateful that we got. But once again, I really feel that I don't feel like my mark was representative of the efforts that I put in. And it's one thing, like, I get it, if I get a bad mark, like, I'll be able to take it. But given that it was one of those things where I was constantly checking with the individual to be like, am I doing this right? Is there something that I can change? What can I do better? And stuff like that. And you were making those changes only to get the same mark that I got for the proposal. So yeah, that was difficult, but I'll take it. I didn't fail. It was an okay mark. It was a C. It was an okay mark, so I guess I'll suck it up. But yeah, I just feel like that process, I really hope that it's something that they will definitely improve, because SACAP is a lovely institution. I just feel like that's one of the things that they need to work on doing better, ensuring that there's better support for the students, ensuring that there's maybe even better support for the supervisors so that they can be better as well. Yeah, and then also just clearing out expectations and ways of resolving, I guess, conflict and so forth, because yeah, it was not cute. Shame. And then going on to deadlines and assessments. Assessments and deadlines I really felt were quite manageable. You got an outline of what was expected from you for the certain subject at the beginning of that term, which was lovely. And yeah, it wasn't too overload. I think it was so in term 1 it was like 2 assessments per module, and I had 2 modules. And then in term 2 I had 2 modules again, and I think that was like, it was 3 or 4 assessments per module. However, they were shorter assessments. So for example, we had 3 assessments that were 1,000 words, and then the final assessment was 3,000 words. And then in term 1, where we had 2 assessments, one was 3,000 words, and the other one was 3,000 words. So I think it was pretty balanced. And then last term, because they have three terms, the last term 2 modules again, and those had 2 assessments. So I think it was pretty manageable manageable. However, you really have to work hard and make sure you do things right the first time around, because you only have a second time to pull up your mark. So if you don't do well in the first assignment, you literally only have one more chance to better your marks. So it can, you know, be a lot of pressure in terms of that, but I think it's manageable. Just speak to your lecturers, ask for help, you know, make sure you understand the question when you're writing that essay and you do your research properly. Just get it done properly, like from the get-go, and when they give you corrections, take those corrections and do it properly the next time. And lecturers allow you to be like, okay, I've done this bit, but you have to do it on time, obviously, but like, this is how much I've done, I don't know if I'm on the right track, please check for me. Remember that for us, there were like only 14 of us in a class, so if you're coming to ask for help within enough time, they're willing and ready to help you and check it out for you before you work on it more and then submit your final draft. So yeah, but if you leave things to the last minute like I did, the deadlines were here. But once I looked at it like backwards, and I was like, no, I actually had a lot of time. But remember, you were doing 2 modules per semester, but throughout the whole year you're working on your thesis as well. So I think that's where you really have to time manage. And if you're gonna schedule in a break, sure, take that break. But if you know, okay, now is crunch time, make sure that you work. And the overall support at SACAP, once again, as I mentioned, we eventually got a coordinator who came in, and we had her on WhatsApp, and we were able to speak to her instantly. So that was great, and that support was amazing. Support from your peers and fellow students, I thought that was pretty amazing. I had certain people that I was able to be like, okay, I'm not understanding this, please help me. We had WhatsApp groups, and you know, everybody was helpful in terms of that. We had class reps as well, so if we needed something to be asked or needed to double check something on an assignment, they were also able to come through for us in that way. So that was definitely lovely. So I think from that point of view, the student, you know, the overall support was great. There also is like a student department for counseling and things like that. I never personally use them because I have my own services that I would go to, but I think it's just great that they have those services there for use. So that's amazing as well. So overall support at SACAP, I think, would be pretty good. And so what do I give SACAP as an institution as a whole? Definitely 8 out of 10. Loved it. I really did. Besides the supervision process, as I mentioned, and I really wish and hope that they will better the admin, because it's, yeah, I mean, you've already created a great institution. Don't let things like admin be what throws you off, you know. So yeah, now moving along to finances. SACAP was a lot, okay? I think moving from my final year, and what I paid at SACAP, double, you know, that. So it was a lot. I knew that failing for me was not an option. I needed to get there, I needed to work hard, and I needed to make sure that my marks were going to reflect not only the amount of money that my parents put in, but also just the efforts that I was going to be putting in as a student. So yeah, finances were quite a lot. And once again, I think where admin let them down when it came to finances as well. Things like receiving wrong statements saying you haven't paid while you have paid. That's what happened to me, and I just feel like it should not be some of the things that are happening, because once again, compared to a public institution, there's like 5 of us, okay? But anyway, I'm hoping that some of the things that they will improve in future. And once again, I'm speaking for Durban campus. Don't know if it's the same at another campus, and I don't know if other students experienced the same thing. Maybe they were okay, maybe I was just, you know, that small percentage in which that happened. So these are the 2 most common questions that I have been asked. First being, is SACAP is studying at SACAP worth it? Just that in general. And I really felt that it was. I really felt that I was in a space that was small enough for me to create relationships, to learn as much as I possibly could, to ask questions, and I get to network once again, because as a psychology student, you need, especially if you want to get into masters, you need people to be able to write you a good reference, you know, to be able to character reference you properly for your masters and be like, okay, we know the student, I met her here, these are her character traits and so forth that I think would make her a good psychologist one day. You need that. You also need people in the space that you can gonna be able to ask certain questions. And also it gets really tough, so as motivation to be like, you know what, this individual got there, I can do it too. So I think it was really a space that afforded me that. So from that point of view, I really do feel that it was. However, do I feel that SACAP is worth it in terms, well, in terms of the amount of money? And I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm saying that, I'm not saying that it's, you know, they're overcharging or anything like that, because I don't know what it takes to run such a financial institution. And I do know that public institutions probably get funding from the government. I don't know exactly. But my point is, I really feel that if you get into a public institution, because they're charging less, I would say go there. You know, like, you can receive the best education and have the best lecturers, but if you're not going to be putting in the work, you are not going to be getting the results that you need and making most of the experience that you get into your masters. So if you do get into a cheaper institution, I would say go there. I think maybe that's just me, because I'm a very economical brain, and if I can save on my parents' money, I would definitely do so. However, if you don't get into honors, or you don't get into undergrad at a different institution, I would definitely say go to SACAP. They are accredited. It is worth it. The experiences that you're going to be getting there are going to be great. You are not going to be getting less of an education as compared to somebody that is going to a public institution or one of the popular institutions or anything like that. I think it is definitely worth going to in terms of that. But would I choose it over a public institution? Definitely not. If money was not a factor, then I definitely would rather go to SACAP than I would go to a public institution. And yeah, that is the last question that I'm answering, actually, because somebody did ask, like, would I choose SACAP over a public institution? And I guess that's my answer to that. Wow, I said a lot, but I really hope that this video does help, and all the best to everybody that is making choices, you know, regarding what they're going to be doing this year when it comes to their academics. I wish you all the best. To the psychology students out there, this is not an easy path that we have chosen, but I pray that you stick it out. I pray that you see it till the end. I pray that God will favor you and that you get into, you know, your masters, you get into your honors, and you just flourish in this space. And we prove to everybody that, you know what, guys, we are not in a useless degree. Okay, so that's it from me today, and have yourself a fantastic whatever day of the week it is. Mwah.